Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Workout Wednesday with Coach Hendy. We are out on Zwift, and we've got with us multi-time world champion and current performance manager over at USA Cycling, Coach Hendy. How's it going there, Greg Henderson? Good to have you on the broadcast.
G'day, mate. Thanks again for having me. And yeah, welcome to another Workout Wednesday. I tell you, mate, today I've got a rip snorter for you. I've got, this is one straight out of the Team Sky handbook. It's called, I've aptly named it the Sir Wiggo. And it's basically a nice, hard threshold workout where you preload the legs with a little bit of a 40-second sprint, and then you settle right back down right into threshold. And every 2 or 3 minutes, we bump that power back up again. And by the end of each interval, you'll definitely start to feel those legs.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to getting a good workout in here. I might have to be messing with that 10%. Let's go ahead and get started cycling up here. It looks like the group workout is getting going here. So, and it looks like we got a solid warm up here actually for the Sir Wiggo. And that's, even the warm up looks a little intimidating because I have a feeling we might find a few things hidden in those gray numbers, the gray numbers there underneath the warm up. And I think you usually have this basic warm up that you use across the board.
Yeah, I'd use a standard protocol. It's basically a progressive. You know, we start nice and easy, and then just slowly wind on the power, followed by almost up to about threshold. I don't go above threshold. And then we drop it down for a couple of minutes to spin the legs. And then I always do an activation sprint, which is just a little 10-second blast just over your threshold. Sort of activates the muscles and lets your body know, okay, here we go, mate. We're about to rip into it.
Right on, right on. So do expect a little bit of effort and heart rate rise through this little bit of a warm up here. It looks like here. So 12 minutes solid. The bumps into the 360s there. So there's definitely some over threshold efforts, it looks like, coming at us here. That first 25 looks like more of an opener. But what's the rhythm here that we're going to be looking at? It looks like...
So
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's it's 40 seconds where we're just going to be what I like to call preloading the legs. That just as you're starting to lactate, you'll drop the power back down and have a little small rest, and then you'll hit your right on your threshold. It says 2-minute ramp, but in actual fact, it just eases you from below threshold up to about it. So it's a very, very slight ramp, but yeah, it's a preload, and then it teaches your body. It's basically the same as the sort of effects you'll have in a bike race. You know, you'll hit a climb, and there's always an acceleration at the bottom, and then you settle into the pace, and then there's, you know, you may go around a hairpin corner, there's always an acceleration around the hairpin corner, and then you settle back down under pace. So it's just simulating as close as we can get to, you know, a race scenario.
So following efforts, it sounds like, over and over again, following efforts, and then settling back into that threshold effort. So preload and then sit in, it sounds like. So it'll be interesting. We've done this before, kind of like this workout, but it seems a little bit adjusted. What's the difference between this one and the one we've done before?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to go a little higher in the power for the preload, that 40 seconds. And then we have a complete rest. And then we just sit at a nice steady threshold pace just below, so like 95%, but we only sit there for 2 minutes, and then we bang straight back into that right back into that power again. So it's a shorter time on your threshold power.
Gotcha. Shorter time, but it sounds like a little bit more intense up front though.
Correct.
Yeah, gotcha. So that extra rest needed. So we've had these workouts, they're all named after, it seems like, some top talent in the UCI Pro field. So the Sir Wiggo, is this actually a workout that Bradley Wiggins would use? And were you familiar with his workouts and like what he was up to with this?
100%, mate. Yeah. So, like I said, it's straight out of the old Sky Cycling Team's textbook. It's okay. There's a variation on it, and maybe they do 1 minute above threshold, was we're doing 40 seconds, and then they would typically, the key is to do about 3 minutes on your threshold, because that's when your blood lactate levels reach steady state. So you would sit at threshold for 3 minutes and then bump it up over for a minute, come back down to threshold for 3 minutes, just to get that steady state of lactic acid in your legs.
Gotcha. All right. So we're definitely going to be feeling, so it might not feel too intense up front, it sounds like, but as we get further into it, things are going to start getting interesting. For those of you who have not used group workout mode before, in group workout mode, we all are using the intervals for our percentages of our FTP. They're all the percentages and wattages on the left-hand side of the screen are based on my FTP that you're seeing in the live stream. But the wattages, if you were to join the group workout, would be based on your FTP. So group workout mode, we all stay together and ride the workout together, but at the same time, we all get to do the workout effort we need for our FTP and complete it and complete it for the effort that we need to be putting in, rather than the group getting blown apart. If Coach Hendy were like, hey, how about you do this kind of effort right now? And then next thing you know, everybody's throwing down based on what their wattage is for those percentages, and they're off the front, off the back, all over the place. So really cool model, cool mode within Zwift that keeps us all together to experience a workout together that one coach or trainer has written and put into the game. So group workout mode, pretty awesome. We're here every Wednesday for Workout Wednesdays, either with Coach Hendy or Matt Rowe. So really cool feature here that we can put on for Zwift Community Live, as well as a lot of people are using in Zwift now. And I heard, Hendy, you started doing a podcast recently with those guys?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So that'll be dropping pretty soon, I imagine. So it was, effectively it's a training podcast. You know, we had a lot of questions, you know, specific cycling related, triathlon related questions, and we thought, well, why not? Let's just answer some of these. So, you know, with our experience and, you know, our knowledge that we've gained over the years of coaching and racing and whatever, we sort of all sat down and answered a few of the questions that were sent into us and had a bit of a gas bag. A couple like a group of old nannies sitting around having a yarn about cycling.
Sounds cool though. There's a lot of experience in the room, it sounds like. So really great feature, and it'll be really cool to glean as much as we possibly can as a community from that. So looking forward to its drop.
It's going to be a regular thing too. You know, we're going to touch on different, different sort of principles and, you know, different techniques. For example, pre-season, mid-season, things like that. You know, so, and you've also got to remember what's happening here, Northern Hemisphere, with the winter. You've got to compare that to what's going on down under right now. So the different preparation phases. So yeah, it was an interesting chat, a lot of different ideas, but definitely have a listen when it's out.
Also, talking about what's going on with you, Hendy, the pre-record, the reason why we're doing these, and you're traveling with the USA team. Are you going to be gone then next week, Wednesday? Where are you traveling next? What's up next? Looked like World Cups went well. And
World Cups went well.
Yeah. So what's up next?
we qualified everything we needed to qualify for the World Championships. So next for us.
Heck yeah. Good job.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we're pretty happy there, exactly. So then next job is we go to training camp in Mallorca, Spain. So the weather's okay there, you know, it's pretty good. We can get out on the road and on the velodrome. And then we have got 2 weeks there. And then we go to the World Champs in Apeldoorn in the Netherlands. So it's a pretty big 3-week block coming up. So it's all happening.
So in 3 weeks, is that right? The big race?
Correct.
About 3.5 weeks?
Correct.
Yeah.
3 weeks from now, yeah.
Good. Awesome. Well, good luck. And so this is pre-recorded material for those of you who are tuning in either on Zwift Community Live on Twitch, YouTube, or on Zwift's Facebook. But we are doing the same workout as you did. Hendy encouraged me about my FTP right before we got going. And he's like, you know, you haven't been riding your bike quite as much lately, Nathan. And you haven't been lowering your FTP. You might not be able to talk today, and I might be suffering already from this effort a little bit. 143 left to go. Heart rate says I'm doing okay.
I think I'm in the same boat though, mate. I tell you, with all this travel, it's depressing every time I get on this thing. My FTP just drops another 10 watts. So yeah, it's just what happens when you're busy, isn't it? You don't.
I'm not testing. I'm not testing for I don't know how long. I need to get some training in before I really get. Now what comes first though, right? I'm just trying to avoid the obvious.
I haven't tested. I can just tell, mate. As soon as I get it around 300 watts and I start breathing, that's when I know.
Yeah. That's the boat I'm in right now.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We've only got 50 seconds to go now, so you can see the end of this warm-up. After this, we've got, I think, you know, a nice 25, 30 seconds, nice and easy to recover. And then we do that activation sprint that we talked about. But don't forget there's that magic button on the left-hand side of your screen there that takes you from 100% FTP. You can just sneak on down. Just sneak down to 90%.
I want to call that the ego button. It's the ego button. It either crushes it or builds it. The ego buttons on the left and the right over there. Ego up or ego down.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Okay.
There we go.
There we go. Okay, we've got a minute now.
I can already see chat, even though we're in pre-record, I call it out. Warm up and the laughing coming through. Laughing emoticons coming through, emotes coming through. That's a warm up? 300 watts, okay. But you got to get that blood moving, right, Hendy? If you don't, we wouldn't be ready for what's coming.
Exactly. So in 30 seconds, you'll see we've got a 25-second kicker. Again, not super power, but it'll activate the legs and you'll know that you're riding a bike. But yeah, you want to be breathing now. You want to be starting to feel warm because it's a pretty intense session coming up. Really good to build the threshold. It's really, you know, accurate when it comes to simulating a bike race. So, you know, it's all very well to just, oh, here we go.
Yeah, time to go. Here we go.
Nice. So there's 370. Just sit there. Activate
what kind of
those
case
muscles.
do we want? I'm like way over.
Yeah, I speed up. Instinctively, you speed up when you see large power having to be put out. Instinctively, you switch up.
Gotcha.
Okay. So we're about to start our first effort now. But no, I was saying this kind of effort is, you know, the most boring type is where your coach sits you 15 minutes and you just have to go out and just sit on a prescribed wattage. Whereas these, you're you're always thinking, you're always doing something. And that happens when you're in a peloton or in a bunch race on the velodrome. You're always varying the power. There's no real straight line power curve. But these are really effective.
There's a little bit of a mental side to it, Coach. Like a little bit of a mental training to it as well. Make sure you're not just in this kind of vacuum of interaction with the interval. You're training the mind a little bit for interaction during racing then too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's that's one of the best things about it. But I think it's I'd have to say mentally, when you're switching the power and you're switching the pace, mentally I find that a little easier.
Yeah.
As opposed to, but then there's different bike riders, there's different strengths and weaknesses. You take a guy like Tony Martin, mate, he just loves to sit on the ergo for half an hour at one prescribed power, it's just how they ride. You take an athlete like myself, more sprint orientated, I'm happy to change the wattage. All right.
That's where you started too. Starting in the BMX, you're like, what are you talking about? Up and out of the saddle over and over again.
Okay. Keep it.
So 30 seconds at 360, or what kind of percentage is this then? This looks pretty red. I mean,
about 120%, yeah.
Okay.
That's right up there. So it's 115 around there, but yeah, like I said, I might have gone a little ambitious with my my FTP.
Ooh.
Yeah. Oh. Misery loves company, mate. Misery loves company. Come on.
Misery's got company right now. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Get a little rest here. Here it goes. Big lungfuls of oxygen now. Suck those big ones in, mate.
All right. Oh boy.
And now we stick
5 seconds. I'm not liking the look of that yellow. Here we go.
Here we go.
280. All right.
Now just gradually ramp up.
I am on erg mode, which is helping me get right into that wattage. I'm on a hammer, and it kicks me right there. So it's almost like I just have to keep pedaling rather than try and find that sweet spot. That makes sense.
One less thing to think about when you're suffering, mate. I love it.
Yeah. You're on erg as well, Hendy, today?
Yeah, I find it really good for efforts like this when it is quite structured, but I would take it off erg mode. Say if I had, 15 second, 95% of max. So that's more of a feel. So you would get out of the seat and you would go 15 seconds, 95% perceived power. Whereas your actual power meter, it doesn't really matter what that reads, as long as you're actually putting in, as long as you're actually giving the real power. So there's a time and a place for erg mode, and there's a time and a place where you just want to switch that off, put your head down and go for it.
Yeah, I find with erg mode too, it can be difficult to get to the wattage and back down from it because it has to respond to you so quickly with those short efforts. But it's almost better just to go in without it if we're doing 15s or something like that.
And then of course, like we talked about, if it's a big long 10, 12, maybe 15-minute effort, it's great that the erg will just automatically adjust you to that power and you can't come off it. So, you can just concentrate on perfect pedaling technique and just counting down the minutes. Oh, wow.
Here we go.
Oh, wow.
Up. Right into it.
Good thing it's only 40 seconds.
Oh my goodness, look at this interval. This is insane.
Yeah. Anyway, what doesn't kill us, mate?
Oh yeah, I might just kill that ego button in just a minute here.
Wow. Five seconds, here we go now. Righto.
Then right back into 280. Oh boy.
Take a little breath. Yep, and then we're straight back into it.
Ooh, yeah.
And on.
What kind of race situation am I in right now with this ramp?
You're basically halfway up the ears, mate. You're hanging on. Your team's sitting.
That went quick. We really climbed pretty quickly.
You're sitting on a really uncomfortable tempo, but you know that if you're on the limit, you know that everyone behind you is on the limit. And those little accelerations, that's the benefit of being, when you're at the front on a climb behind your team, every hairpin that you go around, you have to accelerate, but being on the front, you might only accelerate for 15, 20 seconds and then the accordion effect stops. Whereas if you're sitting 30th, 40th wheel, then the only place for you is that big stretch out of the corner until you're back onto that pace. That's why you hear everyone talking about, come on, ride position. It's so important. And what I say to a lot of my athletes is I said, sometimes it saves energy to burn energy. So that means just use that little extra bit of energy to get that position leading into the bottom of the climb, because it's going to save you so much on the way up the climb when a team on the front is sitting a really horrible, uncomfortable pace.
I'm going to tell you how many times I've lost the wheel in a mountain bike race, especially in like a point to point where there is a lead group. Talking like Iceman or up in Marquette, we're up at the all the different Triple Crown races, Schwamagon or Order Shore, you know, that idea of grab that wheel or you're getting dropped and going back 10 minutes or you're with the lead group, that extra suffering right now matters so much. And actually, it's easier with that lead group if you make it. But
100%.
A lot of people think, I gotta ride within myself in those moments. Let it go and don't realize it would have been so much easier just closing that 5 meters, even though it felt like the world to make it happen.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes it's easier said than done, though.
That's true. That's why I remember it. That's why I remember it. I got Misery Company in my head from that one.
Yeah. All right. So a small breather here. We hook straight back into it.
Oh boy. Here we go.
This is the last one.
Yeah, this is a good workout. My goodness.
Start the ramp again. Yeah, it's just long enough, you know, it's just the point that you feel like you're about to fail, and then you just get that 20 seconds. It's just enough till you go, oh no, I'm okay, let's go.
Yeah, it's amazing how perfect it is actually, because I felt on the rivet, closing that gap at the end there, and then settled in, heart rate's coming right on down, and it's just enough that we're hovering just below threshold, and then we go again, it seems. Good stuff.
So I reckon someone with a PhD worked that out, mate.
Woo.
Beautiful. So only a minute left now, minute 10, minute 5. And then we're going to get a nice 5-minute rest and discuss how horrible it was. And then do it all again.
Heck yeah. Interesting, the graphs on the bottom, how they're changing here. You can really see exactly what's going on with this ramp, as well as the punch to load the legs. So good.
Yeah.
You get into that yellow at the bottom there. We can see the threshold now, right up into it.
Yes. Yes. All right.
How long are these then? These are 2 plus 20. So we got about 7, 8 minutes.
I think.
Yeah, about 9 almost. 9 almost. Yeah.
9 minutes. Yeah. Because it's 20 seconds rest, 40 seconds on, 2 minutes at threshold. So it's a good.
Oh, gotcha. So that's 1, 1, 1.
Yeah.
It's 3. And then
Exactly.
we got 2, 2, 2. So 6.
Correct.
9 minutes. Ooh.
Oh, that was a little bit of a shock to the system, mate. I'll be honest with you.
We didn't bring a towel. I didn't listen to my Zwift instructions on login.
Holy smokes. That was just rude, actually. I mean, honestly, that was just rude. I had Larry Lactate jump on my back right from the beginning.
Larry's in the house.
Larry
shows up, the party gets started. Oh man. Yeah. Whew. All right, so 5 minutes. Get a little break here. We've made the lead group essentially. Everybody's on the downhill, chilling out, looking at each other, knowing what's coming next, and it's gonna be all about positioning with that 40 seconds at 360 again, it looks like, hey? Exactly.
We've got the last climb of the day. We have to fight for position there. So we start that climb nice and close to the front. And if we can do that, if we could, like I said, use some energy to save some energy. So we're going to use that energy in the beginning because then we're in perfect position for the next, the next onslaught of either attacks or corners or whatever might be happening on the climb.
I think a lot of people think of this threshold work as crit or TT when you hear threshold work, but this kind of threshold work, you were talking about climbing and attacking on long climbs, and like I've been in such a mode of thinking about crits too with the crit series and talking about that a lot with Rasan and everything. And immediately we were talking about how threshold's used there, but there's so many different ways that it can be used, the applications and the scenarios that you build with these workouts. It's so interesting, and how you talk about this is really interesting in that respect.
So another way you could use this, and that's what I often use it when I'm training the boys on the track, is you think about your attacking for 2 or 3 laps on the track. So that's your load, and then you just flow to banking, let the legs flow, and then you hold on your threshold if you're trying to establish a breakaway. Or the other scenario could be a breakaway's gone up the track and you have to get across there. So you've got 40 seconds of going hard to get across. And once you're on, you're in there with a group of 4 or 5 guys trying to lap the field. So it's there's definitely so many areas in which threshold's really important. But I also believe just going above and preloading the legs with some lactate gives a more realistic sensation to a bike race.
Yeah, gotcha. So the over threshold, just over, because I think that's something that is neglected a lot, actually. It's a good point. In training, you have these 2x20, 2x15, and I mean, keeps things simple, but at the same time, we just got through 10 minutes of threshold, almost 10 minutes of threshold. Man, that felt like that felt like 3 minutes, to be honest. That did not feel like 10 minutes. So the mental side of it, you get more work in, but also it seems like it's almost more beneficial work because you're pushing those barriers a little bit. So it's interesting. And also the dynamic power being put out there. If you want to speak to that at all, like how that affects the stress in the muscles and in the system.
If you look at, say for example, you go for a long bike ride and you may be out for 4 or 5 hours and you come home and your TSS, your training stress score is actually like 150 or 200, it's compared to, whereas if you went out and did 2.5 hours and a series of 6 or 7, 8 sprints or something like this, because your TSS is calculated on how much time you actually spend above threshold. So the high TSS, the one that does a lot of damage to you, can often be a short sprint interval session. And you'll notice, and it does, it takes a lot of energy. It takes everything out of you just because of the systems that it's working.
Yeah, gotcha. So speaking of over threshold here, we're about to do it again. This one.
Right, let's get position.
Yeah, we got to get position. So we're trying to find our way to the front of the pack here, it sounds like. Make sure we can make it with Sir Wiggo up the climb here. Here we go.
I wonder if Sir Wiggo wants naming rights. Crikey.
The other thing, I'm getting all perfect stars here. I'm doing it right. I must be learning. Andy.
Yeah, you're good. You're good,
I got
mate.
a half star. I got a half star on the 180 for 135. See, I don't know how to rest. I don't know how to rest.
Don't talk too soon, mate. We just started.
Oh, man. Just getting going. Now, is it okay if I'm up on the saddle or you want me to be sitting?
No, it's fine because it's just whatever you would do out in a climbing situation.
Okay. And what about wasting energy? I hear that standing maybe waste energy sometimes.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, most efficiently and less muscle groups being used would be in a seated position. But then you look at the likes of Alberto Contador, he could just about climb for 20, 30 minutes at a time out of the saddle. But what we were taught is a lot of it is actually dependent on body weight. Because if you're a heavy guy, getting out of the seat does cost you a lot of energy. If you're a 55, 60 kilo climber, it's not a huge difference, you know. Your upper body's not big by any stretch of the imagination. So it's all about, it comes like what's really important is you switch up the muscle groups. And so in and out of the seat, you know, you slightly change the angle in which you're delivering the power of your muscles. Whereas when you're seated, a lot of hamstring, glute drive. Out of the seat, it's a lot more quad orientated and therefore resting a lot of your hamstring. So a lot of it, when I do the long climbs, it's typically just for that, is switch up the muscle groups, keep the rhythm, and try and hang on for dear life, mate.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. So the adjustment we naturally do, looking for where the power is right now, if some of the muscle groups are not giving us the power we need to hang on.
Absolutely.
Whew. Well, heart rate, right on up there this time. I'm up in the 170s already. Whew.
We've opened up the floodgates, mate.
Give me the floodgates. That sounds like energy. I need more floodgates. Come on, floodgates.
I've lactic acid, mate. The lactic acid.
No.
Larry's coming in. He's on his way.
Dude, we got a whole river of Larry. Literally.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Here comes an attack.
Oh, I
We're
forgot.
gonna try and follow this.
Okay. Nope.
Follow this attack.
Hendy's attacking. He's making me go.
Just remember, if you're suffering, you know they're suffering behind.
Oh, yeah. Hendy looks like he's suffering. Would you lower that thing down, too? Oh, boy.
All right, 15. It's all about the poker face, mate.
That's right. I've always had a horrible poker face in racing. Horrible.
I tell you, the best guy was Chris Horner. Because when he was suffering, do you remember Chris Horner?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, so he won the Walter Spania not that long ago, actually, and he's like 40 or 41 years of age. But one of his tricks was when he suffers, he actually grimaces and it looks like a smile. So he's like this. And you're like, he's off the front, smiling, and you're like, what? But then once you knew him for a few years, oh no, that's him suffering.
Yeah, there's kind of a personality trait for some riders to have a smiling grimace of pain.
I remember when I was amateur racing in Belgium, and we would race these kermesses, flat stick from the gun, you know. The gun would go and we'd go straight full gas. If you made the selection, you know, you're in a group of 7 or 8.
Race cyclocross. Sounds like they're bringing their cyclocross to the road race over in Belgium.
But the thing was, you would get these guys and they would put on such a, what's the opposite of a poker face? They put on like this death look that they were suffering so bad, and you'd be like, ah, that's good. He won't be here much longer. And then 5Ks later, boom, away he goes. He attacks you.
It's Hulk intimidation. They're just turning green. It's just big Hulk. Like, oh my goodness. You've been sitting on for 10Ks. You're like, oh, the poor fella. He's struggling a little bit. Oh, no, he's not. I'll see you at the finish, mate. That sounds like some of the hardest racing, especially early on in a career. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, yeah. The Kermesse racing. So when we were amateur, it was only 120 kilometers, but we used to do it in 2.5 hours, 2 hours 40. Just flat stick. It was so hard to win them. All right.
Here we go.
One more attack, mate. Another attack coming up.
This one hurts. Already almost 180. Over threshold already. Here we go.
This is the one that breaks the peloton. They're just dropping like flies now.
Let's break them. Come on, Hendy.
Snap this peloton. All right. There's only about 6 guys left. The field is in pieces now. Look at them. Everywhere. We're ripping past the stragglers, left, right, and center. If we can hang on to this, we're up for the W, mate. We're up for the win. All right. Quick rest. Have a look around, see who's here. See what damage you've done. And get ready to sit straight back on threshold.
This is where you tell somebody else to get in front, and they won't.
Yeah.
And then you go, all right, come on, I did the work. Nope. All right, fine.
Hang on if you can. This is where one of your teammates comes back because you drop them with the acceleration. I always love watching that in the tour. The leader will attack. He'll drop the guy who's done all the work for him. And then there'll be a big pause in the race. And the poor domestique will come back. He'll grovel his way back. And the leader then goes, come on, mate, ride the front again.
Oh, boy.
Mate, I just got dropped. Oh, righto. And back they go, back on the front.
And they ruin themselves again.
Until the leader attacks again. Yeah, it's hilarious.
The unsung hero of every tour, right?
I can't say I've ever been there, mate, to be honest. It'd be like a dream come true if I was in the finale of a climb like that. But I've seen enough of it on TV or heard enough stories on the bus.
In the team bus, I would think, where you've got somebody working for the overall telling you all about how so-and-so was making him suffer for him.
No, the funny story behind that is, so on the mountain stages, we'd be working for Jürgen Vandenbroek on Lotto Soudal. And literally we would finish the mountain stage, get on the bus, he's already in the team car at the hotel, and we would have to ask, so what happened in the race? We're that far behind, just trying to make time cut. We're like, well, how did Jürgen go? Was it good? And you're always a little bit nervous, you know, like, oh, I hope it went well, you know.
Like, you're a part of the job. You're a part of the job. So you're thinking, oh man, I really hope this turned out after I put the work in, and I hope I supported him right and all that, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I hope he's happy. No, it's always that situation. It's quite funny when you tell people. I'd often get on the phone when I got home and ask my wife, so what happened today? The first question is, do you make time cut? And I'm like, yeah, no, we're good. Big group, no problem. And then I'll be like, so what happened?
You made time cut. So you got to see the race. I have no idea what happened. I know what happened with me.
Suffering. Oh, yeah. I carried Larry around the Pyrenees all day.
So would you look, I mean, then it was kind of like game day for you. was when the sprints were on. And did you look forward to those days? Was there a little bit of like fear and trepidation though? Like in the same way you get the pressure
100%.
around any race, like, okay, this is when it's on.
Yep. 100%. Like, this is when we're here to perform now, you know. It's like no messing around. It's go time. So a story I often tell is, you know, everyone, it's such an amazing feeling to ride onto that Champs-Elysees. You know, you've completed 21 days, probably the hardest 21 days you can fathom. And everyone almost goes in relax mode because the Champs-Elysees, it's beautiful. There's massive crowds. There's hundreds of thousands of people. And everyone's like, yes, I've finished the Tour de France. For some, it may be their 16th. For some, it's their first tour that they've finished. And you'd love to relax. You'd love to enjoy it. But, you know, the most important sprint stage is the one on the Champs-Elysees at the end, the one that's covered worldwide. So here you are. You get to relax for the first hour when they're doing photos and champagne. But as soon as we hit that Champs-Elysees with 80 Ks to go, it's game time. It's just so fast. And the cobbles on TV do it no justice. Like, they are real cobbles. So you actually lower the pressure in your tires to account for how bumpy the cobbles are. What were you running,
like 80, 90? What are you talking?
We put 90 in, exactly, 90 to 100. Yeah. Whereas probably no more than 100 for sure, depending on, you know, Greipel would put a little bit more in than me, for example, because he's 10, 12 kgs heavier. But that's the thing, like, and then the uphill to the Arc de Triomphe, it's uphill. You can't see that on TV, but, you know, you've got to go down 2 gears to get up there and around. Down the back straight, you're doing 75k an hour on these cobbles. So it's
on cobbles, really 75k on cobbles. Mate, oh my goodness, dude.
It's madness, I'll tell you. Like, so I remember the first time I got on there, and I was just like, this is nothing like it on TV, you know? This is ridiculous. This is hard.
The commentators probably don't do it as much justice either, because it's almost like celebration. It's all over, you know, no big deal. And you get out there and you're like, the race is on. Like, full on.
And it's hard. You're like, what? I thought we were supposed to cruise around. Oh, mate. And then, of course, you have to get the timing of the final sprint, right? You have to pick the right side of the road to be on. There's one fast side of the finishing straight as opposed to the slow side, so you have to work that out. I mean, everybody who's done the Champs-Elysees a few times knows what side's the fastest. And it's, you know, you've got to absolutely go down the left-hand barrier, sometimes even to the detriment of a crosswind, because the path is so much smoother on the left-hand side. And then
really,
it's just all these little.
Even with the crosswind, you'd be like, no, I like it over here better.
Yeah. It's too fast. It's too fast over there, because what's going to happen is when you're putting the power down full gas, your back wheel, your chain, everything starts bumping around. So you're not actually getting the power. So you're better off taking the risk, leading it out on the left-hand side. Even if the wind is coming from the left, you'll still go faster.
Yeah, if you can sit down and pedal. Same thing we were talking about this last time about mountain biking, like with the full suspension, a little bit, like, and that's why they changed the bikes up a little bit too with the road, to give a little bit so you can just sit and pedal. Otherwise, that bounce, I would think, would just lose all your energy. You feel like you're wasting everything.
That's exactly it, yeah. So it's, I mean, and what happens then, obviously, if you're on the left-hand side, it forces your competitors who are behind you to have to sprint on the rough stuff on the right-hand side. So, you know, you're sort of forcing them to sprint in the dirty air, so to speak.
Man, they make it sound like such a party. And you make it sound like, nope, it's full of gas. Like, no messing around.
Well, that's the
all right,
thing.
here we go.
Full
gas, Hendy. Here we go.
Oh, look at this one. It's 45 seconds.
Yeah, what are you doing? What's this extra 5 seconds here? I wasn't expecting 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, just a little extra for experts, we say. Had I have known, I would have changed that. Righto.
Oh, gosh. And it's only 15. Oh, man, our rest is shorter. Our work is longer. Here we go.
The 5 seconds had to go somewhere. Oh, all right. We're getting there. Oh, yeah.
Eric feels like a climb now. We're failing a little. Whew.
There we go. Okay. Yeah, I can definitely feel that. Oh.
All right, just two
Right.
more. Two more. Two more of those.
Righto. Ramp it back onto threshold. Nice. This is a solid workout.
It's got a Sir in it. It's been knighted. I mean, come on.
Yes. Oh wow. You know your heart's beating fast enough and hard enough when you can hear it in your head. I can hear my heart rate in my head.
We don't need no music. We don't need no beat. We make the beat.
Oh.
Our heart rate. Oh my goodness.
Wow. It's all right, 1:15 to go. We got this. There it is. Coming into a minute now. Perfect. Wow. There's a definite major discrepancy between the first interval and the second interval.
Oh, the first one felt like a walk in the park compared to this.
Unbelievable, isn't it? So that's a really good sign that, you know, we're really touching on those anaerobic areas with the 40 seconds, and then straight back in to the upper limits of your sustainable aerobic power into like that threshold zone. So you'll get a lot of cardiac drift. So that's a good sign. And it's a good measurement for the next time you do this interval. Your wattage may be the same, but if you see, you know, your average heart rate's dropped 4 or 5 beats, you know, there's been some physiological adaptation take place.
They don't want to stop attacking here. Here we go. Oh man.
Oh man. I think it's your turn to talk now.
I don't know. I think it's just head down, suffer. Oh my goodness.
I know.
All right. 180 beats per minute.
You're doing well.
83 cadence. That erg is pulling hard right now.
Yeah. We get through this. We've got that 20-second ease up. Just lowers the heart rate just that little bit. And then you sit straight back on threshold.
Hendy's trying to give me hypoxia training right along with him.
Here we go.
Why don't you talk, Nathan? Nathan, why can't you talk? What's wrong? What do you think, you're working
Come on,
out
buddy.
or something?
Hey, so what have you been up to? How's the family? We used to always do that when we were climbing and training. And you know, sometimes when you're riding beside friends and they're going a little bit too hard than you want to, but you know that they're hurting as well, so you just ask them questions. So how's the family?
Oh, those guys
give a
bug
long-
me. I get so mad at them. Oh,
It's so funny.
that.
Hey mate, I can't talk right now, mate. I'm actually suffering. Is that cool if you like? You can just sing a song if you want, mate. I don't care, but just don't have a conversation with me.
Oh boy.
It's so true, isn't it?
It's so true. So true. It was the ego button. It was the ego button. Make your way to the front and start
mate.
talking.
I think I permanently lost that switch, that button, about 10 years ago, being a pro, because you learn very quickly. There's a lot of guys out there faster than you'll ever be.
For sure. Oh.
All right, 1 minute. 1 minute to go. Then we've got our last attack. Very good.
Oh man, it is just perfect actually. 'Cause I barely feel like I might be able to do 40 seconds in
Yeah,
34.
it's incredible, isn't it? I think it's just that 20-second rest. It's the same when we do that 40-20 workout for VO2. It's like you may set off at, you know, 400, whatever, 120% of your FTP, And you think, oh, I can't do this very many times. But that 20 seconds is just enough. You know, oh yeah, okay, not too bad. That was such a good VO2 workout.
Ooh, I'm gonna barely get on this one. Here we go.
Here we go. And up. The sad thing about this is when I was preparing for the Tour de France, the power that I'm doing now is my threshold.
Whew.
Good. 10 seconds, here we go. Hang on to it, mate. Perfect.
Put me through the paces.
Here it is. Little breather. Then our final ramp, 2 minutes. Job done. Threshold training complete. Away we go.
Burning like the volcano right there. Yeah. Oh man, we're doing heat training too. Oh, it is hot in here.
So those 2 minute ramps.
Just a tiny fan.
Yeah.
So they're sweating like crazy.
So when I ramp these 2 minutes, it sounds worse, but it's actually only about 20 or 30 watts that we ramp over the space of the 2 minutes. It's just that, so when we come off that sprint, we're not fully loaded on a pace that's unbearable. And then we ease onto the pace over a 2 minute period.
Yeah, it's perfect actually. I'd fail if it was 20 watts higher.
Yeah,
sure.
Exactly. You're just right on that limit. So a minute to go now.
It's amazing. I've done so many workouts looking for at or over threshold. And this gets one so good with the over and under.
Yeah. Yes, the way sort of training is headed these days is they like to mimic a race environment. I was speaking with my fellow high performance director, Kristen Armstrong, and she said the key to her successes were, other than the hard work obviously, was she would build a time trial course around Boise, Idaho that would replicate the exact same parkour at every Olympics that she won. So, you know, the attention to detail, you knew exactly where on the course, how you were going to feel, and what to expect 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in. So when you get there on race day, nothing's foreign to you.
Oh, trickster. The trickster, Greg. 220. Oh, boy.
Complete.
So
I reckon I made these when I was fit, mate.
replication though with Kristen.
Yes.
That sounds like something we could do on Zwift, at least in effort.
Absolutely.
Something we're kind of doing right now. But
exactly, that's what I was saying. These efforts have headed that direction, where you mimic what's going to happen.
Don't know they can build their own workouts though, and if they could just use workout mode to build the course they need.
Absolutely.
The efforts they need.
Yep. You can just, if you know the climb's 5 minutes long and steady gradient, no worries, you just do a 5 minute effort at your threshold or above. Then you know you've got a little dip in the climb, you take a 20-second breather. So it's, yeah, you could absolutely design a course that replicated the stresses of a course that you're about to race in the weekend or in 2 weeks' time or whatever you're prepping for.
All right, so Andy, you officially have won Gara Bingo. You made me shut up. You made it so I couldn't even speak. There was no bingo this time. You just win by destroying the game. Oh my goodness.
Take that victory. That's something to be proud of. I'm gonna put that on my resume, mate.
One Gara bingo. That will definitely introduce you next time. Multi-time world champion, performance manager of USA Cycling, winner of the Gara bingo. Oh gosh. And yeah, that was hard. That was good.
A hard workout, mate. Absolutely.
Feels fully opened up in the legs, ready to get some stress response out of that for sure.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, like tomorrow might just be a nice easy ride cruising around the worlds of Zwift. And then you might step into another workout the next day, you know, but definitely after a workout like this, you take the time to get the correct stress responses like you talked about. And the best way to get the gains from the stress response is to recover. So nice easy ride. You don't have to flog your body every single day. You know, that can actually have a detrimental effect to your performance. It's about stressing it and letting it recover. Stressing it and letting it recover.
You know, this idea of recovery too, around these workouts that you design, Hendy, they seem very good at one-day rests rather than needing more than that. You know, in the past, I've done workout programs that need 2-3 days of rest and couldn't come back at it because they don't do this sub-threshold stuff with the over as much. And so it ruins you. Being like, threshold is very stressful on the body, right? Like, so
100%.
It seems like these dynamic intervals actually give a little more space to your body to respond and go, hey, we did that thing. And it's kind of the same as this other thing we do, but we're going to respond to it pretty much the same way. And yet you can go again 2 days later. So it's all about that quick recovery, right? I mean, the more you can train, the stronger you can get.
Absolutely. And it's like you said, you touched on, you know, we're actually going sub-threshold. So you're in a zone where your body should be able to do a lot of work in that zone. When you start going above threshold and staying up there for a long periods of time, okay, yes, there's a time and place for that, you know, and that might be just before a race or just before a super hard training or whatever you're peaking for, you know. But when you're trying to build a base, you're trying to build a nice threshold power for yourself, then it's always a lot of time just below your threshold power. That's why it's very, very important actually to, as much as we hate it, to really retest your threshold level once every 4 to 6 weeks, because there's no question if you follow a strict program, you'll get massive gains in your threshold number. So, you know, and then all of a sudden if you haven't retested and you start hooking along at the power you were doing 4 to 6 weeks ago, you actually find yourself, you've just slipped out of the correct zone and you're not working hard enough.
And you're wasting time. The worst thing you can find in training, right? Not seeing
100%.
gains. Yeah, gotcha. Good point there.
So the way we test it on here is we do that 20-minute field test. You know, it's basically a 20-minute max time trial, and you take your average power over the 20 minutes, and then you calculate 95% of that, and that'll give you a pretty good indication of where your threshold is.
Hendy, you know what you just did? You just settled a bunch of arguments on Zwift riders. Good job, Hendy. Settled 95% of the 20, done. Sorry, I'm a big proponent of that test. I'm a huge proponent of that test as well. We got the mic. Sorry, guys. I know there's going to be plenty of coaches out there who have gotten into it and been like, but what about? And I know there's other ways to test. It's awesome. Absolutely. We're totally kidding. But I also like that test as well, Hendy.
But what you have to remember, Nate, is it's repeatable. You know, you can go out anywhere or jump on the ergo anywhere, and it's absolutely 100% repeatable. So you don't need special tools or special conditions. Even if it's not 100% accurate to where your 4 millimolar of lactic might be circulating in your blood, you can do it exactly the same test protocol again and again and again. And as long as you see improvement, then it's a pretty sure sign that you've improved your aerobic threshold, you know?
Yeah. And I think there's maybe a little bit of fanaticism around FTP, you know, just a little bit of like, what's the exact number? Where we're saying, look, if you're seeing a 5% gain, we need to adjust for that. You know what I mean? Or if you're seeing it, whatever it is. But people are like, you know, so sometimes, you know, as you can see during this interval, I fluctuated between 240 and 290 to 300 during our 260 or 280 watts. I mean, you can fluctuate as long as you're hitting around that area for the power stress or stress response, I would think there.
Exactly. And so like when we do, for example, when we do this on the road or out in the mountains, or an extended version of this, you'll notice that we'll sit just below threshold for that 3 minutes. And that's what they reckon in the lab is the magic number to even out the blood lactate levels. So then they'll take a sample after 3 minutes because it's circulated to an even amount, and then you'll bump up on a step test, you'll bump up to the next wattage. So that's why the interval is a preload, often 3 minutes just below, preload, 3 minutes just below. So that's the whole reasoning behind this sort of interval, you know. And like I said,
wow, okay.
it's like some guy with a PhD invented this.
That's taking lactate out of people's legs and measuring it to find exactly what kind of percentages we need on this workout. Oh my goodness, it needs knighthood. Oh, the Sir Wiggo, guys, is done. We did it. Solid workout. Good job, there. Mate. Super solid workout. Averaging 223 watts for me today. Not bad for me.
Perfect.
Heart rate hit 184. Pretty killer.
Nice.
Went a little over effort with a 404 there. I love this scene. This is such a great scene, this readout here. Really gives you...
Your cardiac drift also. You see that first average heart rate there, and then every time you step up, the heart rate's just slightly higher. Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, at the last one, at the end of the last interval, at the end of the last spike, our last... close the gap to the group. The last punch, we hit 184 as the max there. Looks like perfection. Perfection.
That's perfect training. Perfect training, Nate. Well done.
Thanks. I appreciate the workout. 33 out of 34, almost perfect. We got a half star in one of them, but that was great. I love those stars going after him. Well, Coach Andy, I really appreciate your time. It's been great having you here for the workout.
Thanks,
and
Mike.
we look forward to the next workout Wednesday. What's coming up next for you then? Obviously, we'll be doing workout Wednesdays. What do you got going?
Training camp in Mallorca, and then off to the World Champs with the US track cycling team.
Right on. And then you do have that podcast coming out soon, it sounds like. With who's in with you with that?
So we've got Jordan Tapp and Matt Rowe.
Matt Rowe and Jordan Rapp. Ironman man.
Rapp.
Yep. Right on.
And then so next week we're actually having Kev Paulton drop back in. He's going to be a regular on the podcast as well. So it'll be Kevin and I chatting away with Matt Rowe. He's going to MC the podcast.
Oh, it's so great. Sounds good. We really, really look forward to that, Coach Henry. All right. Well, thanks a lot for your time, and we'll see you for next Workout Wednesday. Cheers. And that's it with us for Workout Wednesday. Thanks everybody for joining in today for the workout. We are here every Wednesday for Workout Wednesdays, either with Matt Rowe and Greg Henderson. So make sure to tune in for that. If you haven't done so already, hit that follow button over at Zwift Community Live on Twitch, or also follow us over on Facebook. And we'll see you guys next time for Workout Wednesday. As always, ride on.